All right, so today we're gonna do something a little different. I honestly I didn't have enough time to make it out to the disc golf course. I still do work a full-time job, so I didn't have time to do a full round. So I thought just to maybe would like to, what do I have in my bag right now? Since I'm still trying to figure out my own game. This is a lot of stuff I've had for years, and it definitely is subject to change. But here's what I've got in the bag right now. Right now, the bag I'm actually throwing is a dynamic discs, or the bag itself is a dynamic disc paratrooper with this cool pirate print. Um, Found a good deal on it from a local store, and they hooked me up. Really love the bag. What I really love about the paratrooper bags is simply that they stand up on their own. Um, I had a regular trooper before this, and man, that thing just fell over for anything. But this thing really, it's got the hard frame. It's really nice. We'll start with putters. I have in my putter pouch, I have 4 different things. I've got my 2 putt-in putters, which are Adams 33 negative 0.50. They're MVP. I've got 2 that I got as close to the same color as I could possibly get. So that's my putting putter. I have grown to really love these things as a putting putter. They go where I point them. Now, do I point them in the right direction? That's a whole different thing. Next, my harp. This is a Ricky Wysocki 2-time world champion harp. And I guess I don't even know what the plastic is, but I wanted to have the slightly overstable putt and approach disc in my bag. I started with playing with a zone, played with a couple different things. I settled on the harp just because I love the feel of it in my hand. It was, of all of the overstable putt and approach ones that I've tried, it was the one that I liked the most on the feel. And then this is a glitch. I had a friend, Rachel, which you may meet her on my channel sometime. Rachel used to putt with these and actually maybe had a little bit of an unhealthy addiction to glitches. She ended up with 4 or 5 of them, I think it was. But then when she started putting with something else and realized that she was actually putting better with something other than the glitch, she didn't need to have 4 or 5 of them. So she ended up giving me this one. I used it as an approach disc on a couple holes while I was with her, and she just looked at me and said, "You throw that real nice. Why don't you keep that one?" So this was a gift from my friend Rachel. For mid-range discs, let's see. We've got, man, I can't even get them out of there. We've got a Streamline Runway. What I was really looking for here was something overstable in a mid-range. This is for a little bit longer approaches, especially forehand approaches. I really love throwing this disc. So really like this one. Next, I've got, if you've been watching, I'm sure you've seen me throw my old Buzz GT. I've had this one for quite a few years. Actually, the very first disc I ever bought was a Buzz GT. It was bright orange. Well, by the time it disappeared, it was faded orange. And unfortunately, my entire disc golf bag got stolen out of my car. So I lost my orange Buzz GT, and I knew I had to get another one when I was at the store. This was literally the only color I could find. To be honest, I wish it was a different color. I have considered dyeing it, just because in the dirt, this color doesn't stand out real well. But I've always loved the feel of the Buzz GT with that groove top. Maybe just because it's what I started with. But it's a bummer they're not even in production anymore. Next, this was out of a mystery box challenge I did. Well, I don't know if challenge is the right word. I actually bought some mystery boxes. I think it was on Infinite I bought them. 2 of the 12 disc mystery boxes. So we got 24 discs, and then I went out with 3 friends, and we played 18 holes with nothing but those 12 discs. Everyone just picking random discs anytime they wanted. And at the end, we did like a fantasy football style draft. And so each of us walked away with 6 of them. This was one of the ones I took. This is the Gauge. It's a very different feel from the Buzz, but it actually flies pretty similar. I really do like the way it fits in my hand and the way it feels, which is why I throw this quite a bit. But it's a very straight mid-range. And then for mid-range, the only other one I've got my Elevation Interceptor. This is again a very overstable mid-range. It's also made of rubber, so you can fold this thing up and throw it at the basket if you really wanted to. I've seen that move. I've never done it though. But I have more throw-ins with this disc than anything else I've got, and the reason is every time I look and I see that I have a really good backdrop behind the basket, I will just chuck this straight at the basket relatively hard, because I know that when it hits that backdrop, it's just gonna crumple and it won't run away from the basket a long ways. I got this disc specifically for trying to get it to crash down near an angled basket on an approach, and it would just hit the ground. It almost never rolls. So that's why I keep that in the bag. It is a fun little overstable bit disc. My friend Rachel likes to punish me for having this, though. We will sometimes play Rip Revenge, and one of the cards is a player must use this specific disc on their drive, or a specific disc on their drive, and every time she gets that card, she plays it on me and makes me drive with this, and I'm not good at driving with this thing. For fairways, I've got this Mint. To be honest, I'm not even certain what the numbers are on this. It is a Diamondback. I'll try to look them up and post them on the screen. But this is a Mint Diamondback. I really liked the print. The color's kind of nice too, kind of this peachy pink color. Stands out pretty well in the very green area I live in. This is a relatively straight flying with a strong finish disc, so I wouldn't necessarily call it real overstable, but it's got a solid finish on it. This is another one I got out of that mystery pack I was talking about. This is a Pekka Pekka. Again, I'm not even certain what the flight numbers are on this. I'll see if I can find it. But this actually is a bit understable. This will turn over a little bit. Kind of fun to keep in the bag. Oh, I'm sorry. The flight numbers are right there. 95-31. I guess it doesn't throw super understable for me, but that might be because I have a weak arm. This one, of course, maybe not, of course, got a nickname in my bag. This is no longer called, among all my friends, it's no longer called the Pekka Pekka. It is now just simply called the Paprika, because none of us could remember at first what the actual name of the disc was. So it got nicknamed the Paprika. Let's see here. This is a... What is this disc? This is a Dynamic Discs. I'll see if I can find out here. Oh, Evader. Evader. So it is a little bit overstable. It's not super overstable, but a little bit overstable. It has the Shelton Springs Open stamp. I want to say this is from 2022, 2021, something like that stamp. What's kind of cool is, of course, Shelton Springs is where they have an Elite Series event going on this year. It was a Q Series last year, and it's an Elite Series this year, which is really cool to see. So a little bit overstable. This is kind of a fun disc to throw if you want that strong finish. Also, I can do a little bit over forehand with this, but I don't do a ton with that. I actually just got this out of a used section. I have not thrown it hardly at all. River. It is a 7.7-1.1. Really had never even heard of this disc until, what's that disc golf game on your phone? I can't remember. But 7.7-1.1. It really just goes right where you point it. Again, haven't thrown it a whole lot yet. Next, again in fairway drivers, this is one of my very favorite fairways, is Jackalope. It's by Mint Discs. Do I have the flight numbers on that? Nope, sure don't. I can tell you that it's like a -1, maybe a -2 turn. I love this disc. It holds any line you put it on. Obviously, it'll have a little bit of finish at the very end, but if you throw it with a little bit of anhyzer, it's going to hold that anhyzer. If you throw it with hyzer, it holds the hyzer. I suppose if you throw it really hard, it would probably flip up, but for the most part, just a really goes where you aim it disc, and I love this disc. I might even throw this further than anything just because it does hold the line longer than most things. I think that's it for fairways. Yeah, that's it for fairways. I got a couple here that might be considered fairways, but let's go just for good old classic Firebird. My same friend Rachel gifted this one to me. She watched me throw it one time, and she went, "Wow, I'm never going to throw it that way." Rachel, shortly after she bought this disc, actually found out about lightweight discs, and they worked so much better for her, so she replaced most of her bag with lightweight discs. And after having seen me throw this once with her, she was like, "Nah, you should keep that." And so this is one of my very favorite forehand discs for a fairway to distance driver. I've got a beat up beast in my bag. This one, funny, is not actually the first one I had. The very first beast I had, it was out of one of those Innova starter sets. Beat the heck out of it. I threw that so much, threw it into so many trees. Heck, I think I even threw it into a couple fences, concrete walls maybe even. Beat the heck out of it. And got to the point where I couldn't get it to stay in the air. It was just so understable. Every time I threw it, just dove right to the ground. And it was driving me nuts. So I ended up giving it to my brother. My brother, when he throws pretty hard, but he throws like a golf swing. I mean, he throws with so much hyzer every time. And since he was throwing it so down low, and then he'd throw it way up high in the air, I'd watch these crazy flights where the disc would go from down here all the way up, and all the way up, turned over a little bit, and then it would finally start slowing down and come back and crash down. And he was getting huge distance out of it. So I gave it to him. And then I discovered that a roller was a thing. I didn't even know what a roller was back then when I gave him that disc. And I kind of wished I had it back, but I never asked for it. You know, he was throwing it great. I'm not going to ask for the disc back. Well, then we're out on a course, and I come across this one. Actually, he came across it, and he thought it was his at first because the same color, still beat up. This one is not quite as unstable as the one I gave him, but there is a rubbed off name and phone number on the back here. We took about 8 or 10 guesses at the phone number, trying to give it back to the original owner. We actually left it at the course for a week and it was still there. And so when I came back and saw it still there, I was like, you know what? That's going in my bag. Let's see here. My Insanity. This is actually one of my favorite distance drivers. This is a bit understable. If I don't get any snap on it, it goes right where I aim it. If I can get some snap on it, which I sometimes do, you will see this thing turn a little bit, which is my favorite time to have it. And I get some good distance out of this one. One of my very favorite discs. Let's see. Raider. I don't backhand this disc almost ever. This thing is a supposed to be a 13.5 -0.53. If you ever watch like Foundation Disc Golf, you see, I think it's Trevor, throws a ton of Raiders. He loves it. He gets them to turn a little bit, probably because they're beat up a little bit. This thing does have a little bit of beat in. He'd probably love it. But I don't get enough snap on my disc to get this thing to turn at all. This ends up throwing as just a relatively overstable disc. There are situations where I like this as a forehand disc, but the main reason this is in my bag is because I love the way this thing flies as an overhand. So if I'm in a situation where I need to throw an overhand shot, this is my go-to. It does a great corkscrew, comes right back to the ground where I want it, or at least as close as I can ever get to where I want it. Oh, let's see here. Next we'll go with Ballista. This is an X-Out Ballista. So it's a misprint. This also came from my mystery pack that we did, the mystery pack thing that I did with my friends. I can actually get this thing to fly pretty straight and pretty decent on a forehand if my forehand's feeling right. On the backhand, I tend to just throw it a little too overstable. Maybe I don't get enough Anheuser or enough speed on it. I'm not sure. But on my forehand, I actually I can get some distance on this. I don't pull it out a lot, but it is kind of fun to have. Next we'll go with an adder. I picked this up because for a short time I was missing my Raider, and I knew that the Raider had a lot of fade on it, a lot of overstability. So I was trying to find another disc that would overhand like that. And I found this. It doesn't overhand at all like that. And I did not like how it overhands. But it ended up earning a spot in my bag because I really, having a driver that is this overstable can be fun doing a big Anheuser shot. I'll do it on a backhand sometimes, but I really sometimes like to be able to just forehand this thing, really chop over on it and get some height, and it comes out of any turn. So you can really put a lot of Anheuser on this and it'll still come out of it. And then I know you guys have seen this one. This is my Lace, another rubber disc. It is definitely a firmer rubber than the Interceptor. It's also a distance driver. This is actually made by Vibram. Went out of stock for a long time. They stopped making them for a long time, and apparently it's now back being sold again. Luckily in not just a light brown color. This thing's probably also really dirty, but it's kind of a tan brown color. This thing is the worst disc to find. It just blends into anything, I swear. At least, around here, it blends into anything. It's just so hard to find. That being said, a little bit understable, good speed. I don't know what the actual flight numbers on it. The flight numbers on the back here say fade 8, speed 580, and turn 7. Clearly that is not following the standard flight numbers in normal disc golf. Which suggests to me that maybe this was produced before the regular flight numbers came out, because I have had this quite a long time. It does fly as a little bit understable. I would assume this is something like an 11 or a 12 speed with probably about a -2 turn, something like that. This is probably, if I'm just trying to drive something flat, this is probably one of my longest flying discs, so I really enjoy throwing this. When I get a good snap on it, it will turn off to the right and then just very slightly fade back. So you definitely have to account for that too. And the last two in my bag are a couple custom die stamps I've got here that I've done myself. I actually made 3, and I'm very disappointed that one of them's missing. But this one you've actually seen me throw a few times. It's kind of hard to read. It is a Neutron Jet by Streamline. Flight numbers are 11.5, -32, so it is a relatively understable disc. This was my first experiment with a spin die. And so I did the spin die over a record player with this. And then once I was done doing the die with the yellow, orange, and red, then I purposely off-centered it and put the blue ring on it. And I like that because I thought it looked pretty cool when this thing's spinning through the air. Now, of course, you can't really see it when you throw it. You can't see that effect when you throw it just because it's spinning too fast and you just don't notice it. But I just thought that was kind of a cool effect. And then final one, this was kind of a cross between like doing a vinyl stamp die and also and doing like the lotion die, and then also did a spin die on the outside. This one, my then 7-year-old daughter drew the Xbox controller, and so I just let her draw it exactly as she wanted, and then I cut it out, put the vinyl on there, and I just did a blue and red stripes, big thick stripes on my lotion die, dyed it that way. It was my first experiment in doing the stamp die. And then did a little, just because it was so much white still, I just went ahead and did a spin die on the edge just to give it a little more character. This one is a Finish Line disc, to be honest, I don't even know what mold it is. I'll see if I can figure that out. But I know it is a driver. I want to say that it's very slightly overstable. That's how it seems to fly for me. But again, with slow arm speed, who knows? I might be totally off my mark. That's everything's in my bag right now. I definitely have some other discs. I've got about 6 glow discs that I play on glow rounds occasionally with too. So there's definitely some more out there that I have, but that's what I've got in my bag right now when I go to the course. Feel free to ask any questions about what I've got or make suggestions. I love suggestions as well. Thanks for your time, guys, and I hope you have a great one.